Hi guys, I'm Marton. We are in 7 North restaurant and we are gonna do a Japanese whiskey masterclass today. Guys, whether you like or hate whiskey, this is unarguably one of the most famous spirits of the world. It's definitely one of the rock stars of the golden era of cocktails and the 20s, and it still stands for itself in the present. In this video, I'm going to talk about what is whiskey, why is it a really interesting spirit, and how the process of the production and the maturing looks like. And then I'll introduce you to a Japanese distillery, which I find very interesting. Okay, so we will go through their history, their values, the distillation and aging process. At the end of the video, I'll try 2 of their products, and with one of them I'll make a cocktail. So let's start. One of my bartender books, which was the Bible for me for many years, says whiskey is something what beer wants to be when it grows up. The importance of this sentence hides in the process and the similarities of these 2 products. If you produce beer, there's 3 main steps what you use. It's malting, mashing and fermentation. After the fermentation you have the bottling process. You have the same 3 steps with the whiskey production, and then you distill it. This is when you turn the beer into whiskey, and then the maturing process. So these 5 steps are similar in the Scottish and Japanese whiskey production, as it was a conscious effort to recreate the style of Scotch whiskey. Japanese pioneers were carefully studying the whole production process of the Scotch whiskies. The Japanese whiskey is a style of whiskey which is developed and produced 100% in Japan. So the production of whiskey in Japan started in 1870, but the first commercial production was in 1922, upon the opening of the country's first distillery. Broadly speaking of the style of Japanese whiskey, it's more similar to a Scotch than to other major styles of whiskey. And now it's time to talk about the brand a little bit. I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and this is nothing else but the Mars whiskey. The Hombo company, which is the owner of the brand, was founded in the year of 1872, and in 1802 they started the distillation for the Hombo family in the south of Japan. In 1949, an important step came for the company's life. Mr. Kichiro Iwai became the whiskey advisor for the company, so they got their first whiskey license and added whiskey to their range. After that, in 1960, they opened their first distillery under the direction of Mr. Iwai, and at the end of the same decade, they got their second whiskey license and built the second distillery near the future distillery of Tsunuki. 16 years later, they built their second distillery, which called Shinshu. After this, in 1992, Mars Distillery in Shinshu was mothballed, but the maturing and the bottling process never stopped. After this, in 2011, after 19 years, the distillery started to continue the production. So let's go through now their 3 big values. The first one is history. With the foundation in 1872, they have over 100 years of experience in the distillation and the blending. So their second big value is craft. In terms of capacity, Mars is 60 times smaller than the biggest distillery in Japan. As a craft distillery, Mars chose to limit their production into the 2 distilleries, even though they could increase at their original site. And the third one is experimenting. As they are having 3 aging sites throughout Japan, that gives them the opportunity to experiment over the years. The chance they can produce whiskies in 3 different climates helps them to understand the impact of it on the final product. So now that I've mentioned there are 3 different sites they have, let's go through them and the most important information about them. The first one is Shinshu. Shinshu was built and founded in 1985 in the heart of Japan. The distillery stopped the production between 1992 and 2011, but as I mentioned earlier, the blending and bottling procedure was still working. This site is located 800 meters above the sea level, with low temperature at winter and high temperature at the summer. These extreme climate conditions influence the flavors and the maturing process of the whiskey. The spring water coming from Mountain Kiso is granite filtered before they use it for the production. The average humidity of this distillery is 71%. The altitude is 987 meters. The angel share is 3 to 4% every year, and the temperature is between -15 and 33 degrees. The second site and distillery is Tsunki. This is the second distillery. They opened it in 2016, located to the southern part of Japan. Tsunki is hidden by low mountains of Choya and Mount Kurata, where the water used for the distillation and the dilution comes from. This part of the country benefits from the hot and very humid summers and cold winters. Because of these conditions, the facility is differently designed from the other ones in Shishu. The yearly average humidity is around 72% with the altitude of 60 meters above sea level. The angel share, because of the high humidity, is yearly 5 to 7%, caused by the warmer and more humid summers. So the temperature at this site is changing between -2 and 36 degrees. And the third one is Yakushima. This is an island which belongs to the UNESCO World Heritage since 1993. The climate is hot and tropical with a high percent of humidity. They say about the island that it rains 35 days a month. This extreme climate as well offers to Mars to a different aging environment with an even higher angel share. The humidity here is almost 80% and the altitude is 50 meters above sea level. The angel share is between 7 and 9% per year, and the temperature is between 5 and 35 degrees. So now that you know all about the sites they have, let's try the whiskies. First, I'll try the Mars Casey, which is the marriage of a malt and grain whiskies. So let's dive in. Okay, this whiskey comes with a really intense flavor of ripe fruit and white flowers on the nose. Taste-wise, I would say it has like honey notes, white grapes, and a really strong flavor of green apples. And the finish is really nice citrusy and vanilla notes. This whiskey is bottled on 40% ABV and it comes in a 70 centiliter bottle. So the second whiskey I'm about to try is Mars Cosmo. This whiskey is a classic blended malt. Let's give it a try. I would say on the nose it has really nice vanilla notes with some sweet and red fruit. On the palate, I would say it's a nice round orangey and chocolatey flavor with the notes of fresh barley and toasty oak. The finish is pretty dry but rich and reminds me notes of some plum, white grapes, and maybe cereals. This whiskey goes in the bottle by 33 ABV and the same bottle as the Casey, so it's 70 centiliters as well. And now, before I say goodbye, let me make a drink for you with the Cosmo. So guys, thank you so much. That was it from my side. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and follow Vienna Distribution on every possible channel. Also, you will find my Instagram in the description below. Have a nice day and peace out.